So when we say politics, I think sometimes it becomes like, oh, I have an opinion and you have an opinion, and let's try to find a balance. Sometimes it's beyond that. No? It's about people, it's about lives, it's about people's choices, emotions, truth, experience, and freedom, honesty. So I'm thinking not just about that idea of what is CAA and what is the politics of that. It's like, hey, this is not okay. What's going on is not okay because this is about misleading people. It's about truth and freedom, and you cannot deny me that.
People need to understand, if you can be considerate of yourself, surely you can be considerate of other people.
तमाम विरोधों और साजिशों के बावजूद गृह मंत्रालय ने CAA को देश में लागू करने की तरफ बड़ा कदम उठाया.
Continued throughout the day and night.
Number of viewers in the national capital. 13 people have lost their lives and over 150 people have been injured. So how did this spiral of violence even start?
किस लिए इकट्ठे हो जाओ? देश के भले के लिए स्वागत है. हम भी अपने ढंग से देश की सेवा कर रहे हैं.
और उस हर व्यक्ति को जो चाहता है कि जीवन स्तर अच्छा होना चाहिए.
Everybody was talking about different things, and so in Delhi the issue is something else. Maybe in Delhi itself, around different people were talking about different issues. In Manipur, this whole CAA and all that was something else altogether. It was about like Bangladesh and Muslims and those kind of things, borders and stuff like that. So there were translations all over the place. So for me, it was like information, one, and then what do we do with this? Ultimately, it is just some decisions that are being made, and then those ideas are being put forward with some other reason. So I guess for me that was a summary of the whole situation everywhere. And so it was like, hey, think for yourself. Don't follow this news or don't follow what your friend is saying. Think for yourself. I'm not political, but I'm all about freedom, right? Like freedom in the sense, freedom from everything. So it may be political, but I don't see it as politics. For me, I see it as just the truth. It's not even about, oh, I believe in this party or I believe in this idea. I'm a socialist or I'm a consumerist or whatever. I don't care about any of those things. Right? For me, it's like the individual. Just think for yourself and you be true to yourself, right? So for that, maybe the challenge is not political. So when we say politics, I think sometimes it becomes like, oh, I have an opinion and you have an opinion and let's try to find a balance. Sometimes it's beyond that. It's about people, it's about lives, it's about people's choices. So you and I, so now all of us are different, right? You are from a different age group, I'm from a different age group, but it doesn't matter. It basically does not matter. So it's not about the politics of age or the politics of gender or the politics of thought or the politics of religion or anything. It's just like, okay, we are human beings here, and can we all just learn to respect each other and think for ourselves and leave everything else behind? And that might be freedom, that might be true freedom, to leave everything aside and just be you. The thought that people are being misled and that misleading has to stop. That's all. It was very simple. And there was an emotion attached to it. More than the thought, See, there are musicians who think from their head and they play also from their head, right? So there are people like that. Everything is like skill and intellect and training and practice and this and that, and that's one way. There's another side to it, which is purely about emotions and experience and truth, So I am from that side, which is like emotions, truth, experience, and freedom, honesty, like that. So I'm thinking not just about that idea of what is CAA and what is the politics of that. It's like, hey, this is not okay. What's going on is not okay because this is about misleading people. You're misleading people, you're putting thoughts into their minds, and that is not what is going on. What is going on is something else, you're doing something else. Towards the end of the song, you'll see that somebody is saying out the constituency, right? Right? For me, that was very important because ultimately it comes back to that behind that reading, there's this idea that everybody is to be treated equally, everybody is to be respected equally, nobody take advantage of each other. This is what it entails, right? Beyond that. So I thought the message was there. See, we have a country that has all those thoughts. We're trying, now we are going away from that. Let's come back to that, It's about message, sending a message and encouraging, helping. So I think music is very powerful as a message, because people can see when you're listening to music, maybe if you go technically here, I am a music therapist. My job is I work with people through music. I work with all kinds of people, but I use music in my work. So it's not just about politics. Music is something that can be used in every field. There is a lot of possibility, many possibilities, emotionally, politically, whatever, so everything, and music has a way to address that in a way that may not be happening in another way. It's easy because they start with all these thoughts, and then eventually they realize that these thoughts are not changing anything. Here, let me tell you something. The more extreme they are, the more afraid they are. So if you just bring them down and say hey, I care about you, everything changes. Because ultimately, it's the more aggressive, the more afraid. It's very simple, You're hiding behind that violence or that anger or the threat, because internally there's a very fragile person, and I want to connect with that fragile person. They will not want it, but eventually through music we can connect. Many people said, don't do this will happen, don't do that, this will happen, whatever. In that moment, in that time, it was my truth, and I was I want to put my truth out. If anything happens, it will happen. But for me at that time, it was very important. I'm no longer like that, because the time has changed. We are always changing. So I don't have one political thought. Right now, I don't know whether I would react the same way. But at that time, it was very intense for me, and so it was important to be honest with myself. Truth doesn't mean proving, Truth can easily be confused with trying to prove something. Oh, I have this to say, I will say it in my truth. That is not what I'm talking about. There is no compassion in that. That trying to prove something is also fear. No, I don't have to prove anything. Proving is fighting. Fighting is fear. I'm talking about kindness and compassion, right? So when I was during that time, I was everybody in general, whoever listens to this song, I hope that you will at least take that step back. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to fight with anyone, but just think for yourself. Use your compassion for people around you, Muslim, Hindu, Christian, it doesn't matter. Be compassionate, Can you find a way to be kind and compassionate and thoughtful to each other? So one person in the band, he was very scared. He's let's not do this, let's not do that, whatever. And I was okay, fine, I won't put your name anywhere, He was let's not do it like that, let's not do it like this. I had drawn something. I also draw, so I drew something. He saw the picture. He's you cannot put this out. We'll get in trouble. But finally, I don't want to make him also get upset, so I didn't put it. Music can be anything. It can be anything. I am only discovering all the possibilities of music. But here's what I can tell you. It means a lot to me. I don't know what it is, but it means a lot to me. And I know I can do something. I know I believe in music. Right? Well, actually, my belief is useless. Whether I believe or not, it's still there. So forget about my belief. Music is very important to me. I really like it. And I'm very curious to keep on discovering what is possible through music. And I keep doing that. They get up in the morning on Sunday, they go to the church and they sing. They start singing and they start singing, and then they get excited, and then they start going into some space. Then they feel very good, and then they go home. So I saw all this happening, and that was where I realized something is there with music. I want to learn this. It's a very basic level. I want to go beyond that. because obviously it's deeper. Then I entered the space of mental health and music. So I'm going deeper and deeper into this. The music can affect the human body, and therefore you can create a lot of things through music, because music and the human brain are so closely connected, you have no idea. Like everything in your mind can get erased, is possible, but music cannot be erased. It's the last thing that remains. No matter what you do, there are people who can't recognize the face of their own child. So no matter what happens to your brain also, music remains.
जान दे देंगे इसके लिए। क्या बात कर रहे हो आप? एग्रेसिव होने की क्या बात कर रहे हो?
वो सोच रही है तो सिर्फ इस बात को सोच रही है कि हिंदू और मुसलमान को लड़ाया कैसे जाए। ये लोग इस देश के अंदर खून के प्यासे लोग हैं। इनकी आंखें खून देखना चाहती हैं, इनकी आंखें आगजनी देखना चाहती हैं।
2:30 in the afternoon, vehicles were set on fire and houses vandalized. A petrol pump was also set on fire.
Who the fuck you know me? Who the fuck you ask me? Who the fuck you know me? Who the fuck you?
The national capital, a battleground. Violent clashes between Hindus and Muslims have rocked the city for days. Entire neighbourhoods ripped apart as mobs roam the streets. The riots have been centred in the northeast of the city, in largely Muslim neighbourhoods.
सिटीजनशिप अमेंडमेंट एक्ट नागरिकता छीनने का काम नहीं कर रहा है, वो नागरिकता देने का काम कर रहा है। वो गरीब प्यारे लोगों को नागरिकता देने का काम।
ट्रंप के जाने तक तो हम शांति से जा रहे हैं, लेकिन उसके बाद हम आपकी भी नहीं सुनेंगे अगर रास्ते खाली नहीं हुए तो।
It is a lust to divide. It is not a desire to unite. There is a powerful and continuing nationalism inherent into our national fabric. There is an unimaginable subjugation and controlling of mass media today.